Welcome to our interview with Jason Howlett, CEO of GivEnergy, a fast-growing battery storage manufacturer who not only are carving out and supporting UK industry and developing the energy storage market practice in the UK, but are also, through Give Education and widening participation agendas with universities and colleges, ensuring the industry has the sufficient technical expertise to support growth and prosperity. In this Q&A, we'll be touching on Jason's career as both an interim and a permanent executive, alongside touching on what GivEnergy are doing out there in the market, the wider UK energy markets, and also his experiences of operating on both sides of the fence as a permanent employee, as well as an interim transformational specialist. Jason, if I just crack on with my first question.
Sure.
So over the past 5 years, we've seen several ups and downs across the energy sector, caused by macro and micro issues, global politics and economics. And ultimately, one of the key success stories has been the huge growth, alongside which, of course, comes with severe and intense competition within solar energy storage and offshore wind. What would you say the catalyst has been for this huge growth across the renewables space?
And thanks, Chris. I think I was at a fringe event going back a few years at COP, whatever it was, in Glasgow, Solar Energy UK fringe event, and so I wasn't part of the main piece, but I touched upon there. I was in a Q&A session, and I said it felt almost as though the country was at a tipping point for renewables. It felt really that the profile of hosting COP within the UK really started to put people's minds and attention onto the whole renewable space, and the need to move away from a carbon-based energy network. So I felt there was a real tipping point there, and we saw that from some of the trends and some of the data. This sort of quite relatively stable for the last 2 or 3 years prior to that performance, and then we started to see some gradual increase. What really tipped the balance was the unfortunate situation with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We saw this real understanding of the importance of not relying on gas that came from Russia, and this more self-reliance and self-generation. And I think that's what really we saw over 18 months to, it's 2 years ago now. We saw this real mass increase in terms of this drive for renewables. And you saw government saying, the answer to not having Russian gas is investment in renewables. So we saw that real increase, and as we saw the pressure on energy costs going up and up as gas prices went up and electricity prices went up, more and more people were looking at renewable energy as a solution to solve this. And I touched upon this as the middle class in particular, who couldn't go on holiday, couldn't go to out and to restaurants and stuff during COVID. There was this abundance of savings, and people started to use that savings and invest in their homes. And it became a real, everything kind of all fell right. People had a bit more disposable income. They had more pressure on their energy bills. There was more risk in terms of the energy security that was in the UK. And so everyone was like, I need to do something about this. Businesses, homeowners all felt they need to do something to make a difference.
Thank you very much for that. So with the ambitious net zero policy from UK Gov, and you touched on COP and how it was held by the United Kingdom, most recently by the UAE, of course. But with the policy from the UK government and some chopping and changing with where the benchmark is and where we should set that, what would you say the important factors are? What needs to come into play for the UK to actually achieve them? And most importantly, for UK PLC and for manufacturing and engineering as a whole, how can we establish ourselves as a major player within battery storage, inverter manufacturing, and most importantly, solar manufacturing, which complements all of that?
A really good question, Chris. And I think one of the things we're starting to see government get really concerned about is how the UK and Europe as a whole, I think this is a sort of continental issue too, is not so reliant on Asian imports. Mounting kit aside, solar panels, batteries, inverters are typically made in Asia. And so we're now very dependent on the Asian supply chain to make sure this happens. And we see there's issues that impact that. So we've seen it with the Suez Canal getting blocked. We've got the issue in the Red Sea at the moment as well. So this disparate supply chain is really needed. And I'm not sure it's an area the UK government actually has an answer for. I've been part of a solar task force working with Solar Energy UK and DESNES to look at some of these areas. But I think it's such a difficult area to say, how do you change something? How do you really start something? And I don't think actually government can do anything. I think it's down to industry, but the conditions have to be right. So at GivEnergy, we've not had any funding. We've had zero funding from government. We've had zero support. But we've made a success because what we do works. It's commercially viable. So therefore, we've now started to build our first factory in the UK. So that's to construct our commercial systems. We have plans to bring manufacturing and nearshore manufacturing into the UK too. Now, we'd love to be able to have access to land to be able to do it. One of the challenges we have is when you start talking in the local area about land to build a new factory, you're pushed into land developers, and they obviously are there to make a profit on land. There's a scenario where we were pushed to look at a site where the developer had bought it for £50,000 an acre. They wanted to sell it us for 1.5 million because they put planning permission on it. Now, that's their business. We don't want to give a land developer a load of money. We want access to some land to build a factory, to create jobs here in the UK. But it's what I really do want government to do is think about how you can foster and really get behind UK companies, because there's a real drive, and you've seen this from previous governments too. This is not just a current government issue, and you see it in Europe, but governments want endorsement. So the governments love nothing more than a big foreign investor coming into the UK and going, look at us, aren't we brilliant? We've attracted X into the UK. They believe in our policies. They believe in what the UK economy is, blah, blah, blah. And it's exactly the same in Europe. And it's quite interesting. We get more approaches to build in Europe for that exact same reason. We are the external investors if we go into Belgium or somewhere else, or Eastern Europe. So, the UK really has to think, does it want to get behind UK business, or does it want to keep investing in any business? Now, obviously, being in the UK, we'd love them to get behind UK businesses. I know there's a number of companies who are desperately looking to invest in the UK, but it's more attractive to invest in America, in Europe, and elsewhere. So it's something we pose the question to. But if the company is firmly committed to it, it can make it happen. It's just how quickly. And so, we're just debating that at the moment. We've got a 20-acre site that we're working on at the moment, which will bring mass manufacturing of batteries and inverters here. We'd love to be able to make cells here too, but it's can the economics stack up? Even though we know there's more advantageous options overseas. We are a UK company. We are UK owned, even though we do manufacture in our own factories in China. We have the technology. We do it currently. We make our own product. We can replicate that here in the UK or in Europe and bring some of that here, remove some of that pressure away from the supply chain, and really start to make the UK a centre of excellence for the renewable energy industry. We've got some fantastic people here. They're just not backed to transmit those into real solutions. But also, we have this entitlement. It's like, we can't do it unless somebody helps us. That can't be the answer either. We can't just expect handout from government. Business has to take it on itself. But it's how they can work together to develop these solutions, I think, is the real challenge I don't think we've really got to grips with yet.
Very thought-provoking, and it is exceptional what Give are doing in the UK for the UK. It's certainly, in my eyes, something that will really support your brand and differentiate yourselves from the rest, majority in China, of course. So moving on to what Give are doing, and I guess this is a follow-up from that, and you have answered this question partly, but there might be some bits missing that hopefully you can cover off for me. But what's GivEnergy's mission? What's its purpose outside of manufacturing within the UK? Ultimately, what's the end goal for you?
So we're very much, I mean, our mission is empowering energy freedom for all, and it's really giving access um, to renewable energy technology to as many people as we can. I think one of the things that we're very, very conscious of at GivEnergy, and we are, I've recently done a bit of an article on this about purpose-led organizations. What is a purpose-led organization? I see so many people claim that they are purpose-led. They have CSR strategies, ESG strategies, and they have tick boxes, and they do all this. And there's some manager 3/4 of the way down the organization that's leading it. That's not a purpose-led organization. That's somebody, they know they've got to do stuff. We, from the very heart of what we do, and you touched on it with Give Education as well, we put so much money into our communities, education, STEM, and our industry that it's really massively important to us. And so we see this real need to be more than just what we take out of society, what we bring into the society. What can we add into the UK?
So what made you establish Give Education?
So Give Education was it was the second company in the group that was created. So Give Energy Limited, I think there's about 9 companies now in the group across the world, but Give Education was the second one, and it's a collaboration with, in part, with Keele University. So again, a local university that we're working with, and the real aim is to support educators to deliver better learning outcomes for students. Our founder very much talks about this as, if it wasn't for a teacher picking and identifying his talents, his future would not be where it is today. So, we've got this real inherent from his side. I've always been passionate about bringing on young people into the industry, and year in industry, the Engineering Development Trust, and other areas I've worked with over the years. So we both come at it from slightly different angles, but we both have the same core values of what we're trying to achieve. And this would really get younger people energized by particularly the renewable industry. But the Give Education piece is more about just enabling teachers to really tap into an individual's strengths, their learning styles, how you get the best out of an individual. You see teachers now with class of 35, 40 children, and they can't cater for all those needs. Each child has a different way and different way to learn. So if we can really support the teacher with free software, and this is entirely the aim, it's not about making money for this from Give Education. It is a not-for-profit company. And so we're investing about £500,000 a year into this. But the real aim to help young people get into the idea of really working, particularly in STEM, computer sciences, because our global software team is based here in the UK, but we do a number of factors around that education piece. So we've got a summer school running again at Keele University for 85 students who are from disadvantaged backgrounds. So they will go to Keele for 2 days in June to experience university life. Will that open their eyes to where at home they may not be encouraged to go down that route? We're working with primary schools in the local area to really get them engaged with STEM. So we see this real whole piece around the education, the local community, and it's about, in a way, raising our profile. So even from 3-4-year-olds, they know who Give Energy are. They can aspire through that life to want to come and work for us. We do so much great stuff, and we've got so much at the heart of what we do, and the values in which we have. that's the type of people we're attracting right now. And we've increased numbers significantly over the last 18 months, our employee headcount. But we are really looking at the long term. So how do people in North Staffordshire, in particular, where our UK head office is, how do they look towards us and go, I'd love to work for GivEnergy. I can see a career there. I can see something I can make a difference to the world by joining GivEnergy. And that's what we really get excited about.
Some real grassroots stuff here. And you're supporting UK industry with developing that talent and giving competitors really a platform to tap into that human capital.
But I think, Chris, one of the other things that we're doing is taking it beyond there. We're just actually in negotiation at the minute to create a tech startup park. So we're buying some land, creating some startups. So again, working with the local universities, Staffordshire University, Keele University, local entrepreneurs in clean tech, and go, come to the area, let's create a hub. We hope that you may be suppliers to us. We may be able to invest in you, maybe to support you with management, leadership skills, and just general guidance in terms of creating a business. But we see this then as the supply chain. So we have this sort of plan almost from 3-year-olds all the way through to post-university entrepreneurs who want to do something, all in this area to really make this difference. So we see our role, given what we do, given our role in the UK, we can create North Staffordshire into a real clean tech hub. And given its history of potteries and mining, it now needs something else. And we should be and could be that lever to try and make something change.
Yeah, I remember coming to visit you up, I believe, Chemical Lane, and how passionate you were about these humongous derelict buildings, and your plans or the fire inside you to do something about that, to use that space to fulfill something, the area with industry again, like it was prior to the big move towards financial services. So thank you for that, and thank you for talking me through your plans and sharing them with our audience. Moving on from the world of Give and more so around your thoughts on technology and the huge investment in tech because of the pandemic and post-pandemic. How do you see this having a part to play in organizational headcount?
Yeah, one of the big challenges we have is obviously recruiting. It really helps in the fact that we have this social purpose. So people who join us are very much identify with not only what the company tries to do as an individual, but also the clean tech, the changing the world. Each system that goes in, makes a micro change in the world, but everything we do does have a positive impact. And so we really are able to attract some talent. But we've gone through a fourfold increase in employees in the last 18 months. That's been a constant need, and pretty much anyone who was in the company for 2 years has been promoted into a new role. So the succession planning and really trying to develop people into new roles as the company grows. How can their skills evolve and adapt? So we've got this real great situation that continues right now, that we're constantly looking for talent. We're constantly engaging with the universities, constantly engaging with the colleges, apprenticeships, graduates, looking at bringing people in across the board, across the company. And that's not just the UK. We're recruiting in Australia and South Africa and Europe. And as the business has grown, and hopefully we'll be able to offer opportunities to people to really explore the world beyond North Staffordshire as well, because we see this this massive opportunity for what we do and the way we approach things to open up opportunities for people to explore that. But yeah, recruitment and attracting staff, retaining good staff, and we offer a profit share. So again, the success of the business is shared with the individuals of the business. So we try and make it as equitable as possible into what we're trying to do. But we're funding that growth and putting it back in. Like I said earlier, we've never actually borrowed a penny off anybody, and everything has been organic growth. We're very conscious of what we do and don't support. I talk about it. You won't see us supporting, football, sponsoring a football team. I worked in organisations that sponsored Premier League football clubs, Premier League rugby, sport, NASCAR, and all sorts of different things. Spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds to promote the brand. That's not who we are. We're a company at the grass hearts. We'll do the right things, and it might be a little bit slower, might take more effort to change momentum, but that's money we don't charge the customer for, because let's face it, that's all paid for by the customer at the end of the day. And secondly, it allows us to keep our pricing as competitive as possible, which goes back to what I was saying before. We want to make sure our equipment is accessible to as many people as possible.
Well, thank you for talking me through that. Sounds like a lot to do on your end, but a lot done too. So exciting, especially with your passion. I can see it being a real driver for you. So Jason, as a client of mine, as well as someone who worked as an interim transformational specialist through me at a client of mine too, who we won't announce, I thought you'd be really well positioned to provide us some insight on skill set and ultimately, drivers behind being an interim manager versus a permanent executive director. And it'd be good to hear from you how you found working as an interim added to your overall skill set and capital offering for businesses moving forward.
Yeah, it's fascinating being both an interim and a permanent, which I've done through my career. The permanent employee is there to getting involved in a lot more of politics and everything else. When you're an interim, it's much more clearly defined. You've got a very clear objective, and Chris, as again, not only did you put me in there, I've used you to place interims too for me as well, and it's that you have a specific need. You can really target a specific skill set, knowing I don't need this generalist. I don't need this person who's going to solve everything. I need somebody to help me fix a problem, somebody to really get to grips with something. So I can hone in on a specific skill set, and I think it's really important there that you identify what, as recruiting an interim, what you clearly want that person to do, and what you want them to achieve by being in position. I think I found an interim role is great because, I say, you're there to do something very quick, and that's my mentality. I love just doing things. So you're not there to engage with the organisation, to understand everybody and everything. It's like, no, get in, do something very clear, very, very purposeful, and make a difference. So I think that's my advice really for all interims, is to sort of look at this and go, what am I there to do? Don't get hung up in other stuff. Don't get hung up in the politics. You're there to do a job. Yes, fit in, of course you are. Add value, add your experience, and moving from organisation to organisation in some short-term contracts, you get a really good feel about the way other businesses perform. You can bring skill set into another organisation. You can add your experience and go, well, I did this there and I did this there. I could do a combination of those two things here. So, and I've seen this work really well over there. So I think you bring something really unique into an organisation, an experience of multiple companies, because many companies still have people who've been there 15, 20 years. They don't really know any better. And if that's what they do, then that's what they'll continue doing. So you can really help educate the organisation, particularly at a senior level, and really influence the agenda. And I was really able to do that in the previous company where I was an interim, and I became permanent in that role, because we then had a more longer term project that I was there to complete. But it is, I think, interims interims have this real ability to shape and help an organization to evolve and become more than it is. And once you've done that, you step out and you move into something else, or like what happened in my last role, you stay on and do that role and continue it to a longer term conclusion. But yeah, I would really encourage any business to think about it, and particularly at that senior level, to access talent and skill and knowledge you don't have to a particular problem you do have, and say, instead of wasting time and effort, bring somebody in, accelerate your change, accelerate your transformation, and make it happen quicker.
Thank you. Very well put. And lastly, Jason, as one of the leaders, NSCG, in the interim management space across the UK, and obviously we operate internationally, did you find it advantageous using a medium such as myself, or ultimately NSCG as a whole, as an interim, but also when actually hiring in change and transformation specialists across all matrices in the business that you were in?
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, from a candidate, if you like, it's you've got somebody who's working as a bit of a go-between to help the organization understand what they want, to translate that to an interim to help them get out of it. But so acting as that mediator in some ways, having some of those conversations to help understand the client's needs, enables the clients who then get the candidates who are most suited to what they want. So I think really engaging there and on that side. So when I've been looking to recruit interims and we've had conversations, talking to you helps galvanize that, understand the problem we've got. What are we trying to add? What are we trying to solve? Okay, that's what it is. Go out there and fix it. I can, the key thing about, like I say, bringing interim is accelerating your transformation. You typically, the two reasons where you probably bring an interim is you've got a real problem and your back's against the wall, you've got to do something to stop. Or in the case where I've been, you're accelerating so quick, you've got to bring people in to help you keep the wheels on, because as the momentum's going, you've got to get people in. And so as you're accelerating and rapidly accelerating, the ability to offload that, just find me somebody, get me somebody for next week, knowing that they're going to join you next week and be able to be there within a week or two is so important to you. So while you're still trying to hold on to the, keep the wheels on, keep that momentum going, and not slow down and not lose it, having somebody then to come and support that is really important to any organization. Or likewise, if you're up against it, again, you're trying to save your business, but again, bring somebody in who's got some skills to really help you. It might seem counterintuitive at the times that you think your business isn't doing well. Bring somebody in who can help. It might save the business or save you quicker and get you back on your feet quicker.
And yes, certainly it pays dividends if done right. Thank you so much, Jason. We all wish you the best in your endeavours at GivEnergy. I think what you're doing is exceptional, especially for UK industry, especially for the future generations, and especially for energy security. So appreciate your time and look forward to many more successes on your end. Thank you and take care.
Thanks, Chris.